So I decided to upgrade my home computer. For those who don't know, I have two computers, one on the AM5 platform, so the DDR5 RAM, and then I have one on the AM4 platform with DDR4 RAM, of course. And I decided that I'm going to do a final upgrade to get the most out of both of my systems. So I decided to upgrade both my power supply and graphics card. Before the upgrade, I had a Gigabyte RX 7700 XT that I got secondhand, and the power supply I was using was a 700 watt from Micro Center. I forgot which brand, but it was 60 bucks. So I laid out everything on the table, and yes, there is a puzzle right there. I didn't move it. It was something my roommate did. But I also got a precision electric screwdriver set from Micro Center. Pretty cool. CMB 68 in 1. I was excited to try it. And the graphics card I got was the the XFX Pro Mercury 9070 XT. Since it's Linux, we're going full AMD on this. And I recently upgraded from a Ryzen 7 5700X to the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. I was able to find it at MSRP. I just had to drive an hour to get it, but it's fine. And also, the power supply is an 850 watt Gold Plus MSI. So here I'm just unboxing the screwdriver set just to see what it comes in, what comes with it. But it comes with a bunch of bits and the thing and a little compartment. And also in that accessories box, it's a USB-C cable, which is nice. And so my first thing I was going to do was get that GPU out, and I decided this was the perfect way to get a feel for the screwdriver. So I tested the bit to see which one would fit, and luckily I got a first try. So we were just taking these two screws out that hold the GPU in, and as you can see, the screwdriver is working pretty well. I think the only complaint I do have about it is the torque, but I can just manually unscrew it. So I took out the two screws that hold the GPU into the back of the case, and then after that I got to get my grubby little fingers off of that PCIe support latch so I can get that graphics card out of there. Here's me in between the AIO water pump and the graphics card trying to get that latch undone, and luckily my fingers are just skinny enough for me to fit there. It's the Ryzen 4090, guys, but just holding the graphics card up. You can see my cable management for the water pump is just kind of all over the place, but with the graphics card there, it hides itself pretty well, so I'm not too worried about it. Once I get the graphics card out, I'm just showing what I have to move off of the power supply because I'm changing that too. And I realize I have to get into the spot for the CPU connecting pins. I would either have to take the whole AIO out, which is a bunch of screws on top that I don't want to do, or I take a fan off and just kind of finagle my way with it. I went with option B. Now, going with option B obviously is gonna come with its own set of challenges. There's the retaining latch on the CPU power thingy. I realized I had to get my grubby little fingers back there, and I could easily just take that off. But before I did that, I wanted to take off the motherboard power and the PCIe through and out, just so I only had the CPU connector left. Even though the radiator is like right there and the fan's off and I've got that space, I still didn't have much. So I thought I could give myself an extra bit of space by taking off that back case fan. At least moving it, like keeping all but one screw in and moving it, which is exactly what I did. I got that first 4-pin connector out, but it took a while. It was giving me trouble, so I jokingly grabbed a pair of pliers. I just kept mugging around with my raccoon-like fingers like I'm sailing Texperts, and eventually came out. I was able to pull it through. But before I could put the fans back on and everything, I needed to get that old power supply unscrewed and out of there. Now I got all the cords nice and not tangled, we can go ahead and get all that out. Because a non-modular power supply causes a lot of bloat in your cable management, which, while they're good for cheaper builds, it's a lot to hide because you're not using everything that's there. Almost, and if you are, you're getting a higher end power supply anyways. Showing a picture of what the cable management looks like without the power supply, and then just holding it, showing you guys. It worked. It worked for what it was, but being that I have a 9070 XT now, that thing becomes kind of a bomb, and don't want to do that. But getting the power supply out was pretty easy and simple. Besides that CPU connector, just thread the needle in between in the little case holes and just get that power supply out of there. Boom. The new one's fully modular, and that means I get the box, the brick. I get a bag with all the cords that I might need, and I plug in what I do need. So I took the time to take the cords out of the bag. I knew the GPU was a 3 PCIe pin connector, so I would need at least 2 cords. Each PCIe cord has two connectors within them. Started with putting the correct cords in there, just making sure I had my PCIe's, my SATA cord, my motherboard pins and everything. And once I've got that in, I put the brick in, screwed it in, and it's really just about your cable management there. I decided to start with something I don't recommend. I started with my SATA hard drive, and the part I don't recommend is leaving it loosey-goosey. I just threw the thing back in there. Oops. I know there's screws and places to put it. I personally don't care. I threw it back in there. It's not going anywhere. It's not messed up on me. You're not moving your computer. I'm not in an earthquake area. There's not a vibrating force on the wall by that computer, so nothing's gonna get loose. But peace of mind, you can always screw it in. Once I had the power brick in, I realized that the little hole in the case for the PCIe connectors didn't have a PCIe connector. They didn't have the PCIe cord through it. And while this isn't an issue, some cases you can crack open a bunch of sides and kind of just like have the skeleton. This case, I unfortunately could not have easily done that through. So I just kind of had to, once again, get my grubby little hands in there and make it work. Which it did. It worked well. I say it didn't take me long at all. I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was. But once I got the motherboard and the CPU pins in, I put the fans back, which the way that Arctic puts their fans and daisy chains them on the AIO leaves minimal room for any cord showing. I didn't get the same effect. You see like a cord's hanging there. Oh well. I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to cable management. As long as it's not in the way, isn't going to be a problem later with tangling or anything like that, I don't care. I'm going to show you guys the graphics card. And I got this from Micro Center at $773. It was open box, right? And an open box GPU doesn't mean anything to me usually, because a lot of times it's one part, right? It's just the graphics card. It has everything it needs on it. Anything else you would need would come from another place, like your power connectors or GPU bracket. This specific graphics card has those fans. Those are magnetic, and you can just plop them in and out. It's good for easy cleaning, and I just thought it was cool. I had like this little plastic film on the packaging, and it comes with its own GPU bracket as well and an RGB cord. All that was left was to put the card in, see where the bracket goes, plug everything in, and make sure it works. Which I just have a few pictures of, me plugging the graphics card in, and then the connector with the little bracket. And then here's my work area, if you will, because I was using my living room table. And it's just a reminder, you should just clean up your area and I decided to use that box to hold my RX 7700 XT. It's it's smaller, less less thick, less bulky. This 9070 XT, huge heat sink, I'm gonna call it. I think, yeah, huge block. So apparently really good on cooling. And yeah, that's the journey of upgrading my AM4 computer. Thank you for watching me horrendously explain by pictures and rambling how I upgraded my computer. You have a wonderful night or day, and I will see you in the next one.